Good morning and welcome to the 2020 Striking a Balance Caregiver Conference. I'm Rob Fabian with Age of Central Texas, and along with our amazing partners over the Area Agency on Aging of the Capital Area, we're so happy that you're joining us today for our 19th annual Striking a Balance Caregiver Conference. This is day number 4 of 4 days of amazing presentations, and we have a great seminar for you today. We're going to talk about the activities that you can share with your loved one, no matter what their abilities are. So some wonderful information. Before we get started today on our sessions, we've got a quick video that we'd like to show you, a welcome video from our executive directors at Age of Central Texas and the Area Agency on Aging, along with some information from our presenting partners over at AARP Texas.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 19th Annual Striking a Balance Caregiver Conference, brought to you by the Area Agency on Aging of the Capital Area and Age of Central Texas. We are so happy to have you join us at our first ever virtual conference. We were talking about doing this, and we had a little bit of fear and trepidation, and then we thought, well, all of the caregivers that I know exude resiliency, they exude strength. They always have the ability to turn on a dime. So we thought, well, you know what? We better honor them and we better do the same thing and host this conference virtually so that we would have the opportunity to engage with y'all again. Some of you might know that we had a lot of repeat caregivers attending our conference every year. We didn't want to let them down, but we also did not want to miss out on bringing in new caregivers. And virtually, we have the opportunity to do that even more. So we are so excited have you join us in a number of sessions that will address some of the issues that you might encounter during your caregiver journey. I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne.
Hi all, my name is Suzanne Anderson. I'm the Executive Director of Age of Central Texas. And like Patty, I am so glad you've chosen to participate in the 19th Annual Striking a Balance Conference. And what I love, in addition to what Patty just shared, is that if you chose, you could be sitting here in your PJs if you're so inclined. So, a special thank you to the Area Agency on Aging. Patty Bordy and her staff have been exceptional. In addition, a special thank you to Rob Fabian of Age of Central Texas, whose leadership and technology skills have really allowed us to offer it in this format. I want to just share a quote. It's one of my favorites that I apply to my life, depending on where I sit within different challenges. And believe it or not, it's from Lena Horne. And what she said is that it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. So, we know caregiving is full of, swirling things like joy and love and stress. And I could go on and on that one, but we hope through the conference you find new strategies to help you carry that proverbial load, and that you feel supported by AGE and the AAA, and that know that we're here for you. So thanks so much for joining us in the conference, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Take care.
Hello, I'm Jessica Lemon of AARP Texas, and I am pleased that AARP is a proud sponsor of the Striking a Balance Caregiver Conference. As a sponsor, we hope that you are gaining new insights into family caregiving and that you have the opportunity to connect with other caregivers and experts on aging. Family caregiving is a priority for AARP. It's essential to our work today, but that's not all. AARP is doing amazing things to make life better for the age 50+ population and generations that follow. We help people improve their financial well-being and their health. We want people to contribute to society and local communities and to fully enjoy life. Let's take a moment to discover more about what we're up to at AARP.
Our story begins more than 60 years ago inside an abandoned chicken coop where our founder discovered a retired teacher living, no home, no health care. So she said no to this injustice and yes to transforming lives. It's this drive, this compassion that inspired AARP. Today we empower people to choose how they live as they age. We advocate for health and financial security. We strengthen communities everywhere. We are AARP, creating real possibilities.
I want you to know that AARP has a strong presence throughout Texas in many communities in this great state, including Austin, the capital city where I live and work. This year, AARP Texas is bringing opportunities to our members and others through virtual events like this one we're participating in today, and on platforms like Facebook Live. We hope you have the opportunity to enjoy these free offerings. Not only are there programs to help unpaid family caregivers, but there are presentations to help people avoid being the victims of fraud. We host fitness seminars, and we work with city leaders towards making this an even more age-friendly community. And know this, volunteers are critical to our mission. There are many opportunities for those who can give a little time to volunteer. You can learn more about these local happenings at aarp.org/tx or catch us at the AARP Texas Facebook page. Again, of course, family caregiving is a priority. Here in Texas and across the country, AARP is working with governors, state legislators, and community partners to take common sense steps to support America's 40 million family caregivers. We know that caregivers help their older parents, spouses, and loved ones live independently at home. And right now, AARP is fighting to protect nursing home residents against sickness, neglect, and isolation during the COVID-19 pandemic, while also educating family caregivers on how to advocate for their loved ones. Sadly, more than 62,000 nursing home residents and staff at those facilities have died from COVID-19, and the death toll continues to mount. These are mothers, fathers, grandparents, and spouses with families who love them. Nobody should be going through what nursing home residents and their families are experiencing today. Families want elected leaders to take action now to protect residents of nursing homes and other long-term care facilities. Right now, no state is doing a good enough job to protect these residents and staff. Congress must take immediate action to provide regular testing and personal protective equipment for residents and staff. There should also be timely and reliable reporting of COVID-19 cases and deaths. There also must be virtual visitation allowed for families. And finally, we urge lawmakers not to let nursing homes off the hook for abuse, neglect, and even death. Now is not the time to strip away the rights of nursing home residents. AARP will continue to fight for family caregivers and other families. We appreciate your support and for listening. We have many resources available for family caregivers just like you. One place to go for information is aarp.org/caregiving. Thank you for listening, and thank you for all that you do as family caregivers or to support caregivers.
Thank you so much, Patty and Suzanne. Thank you, Jessica, for that. And before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping issues we want to go over for you real quick. Number one, all of our sessions are being recorded. So if for any reason you are having issues, you get knocked out of the session, you have to leave early before we can finish, don't worry. We're going to record the sessions. We're going to upload them on YouTube, and we're going to send you those links. We're also going to send you the PDF of today's presentation so that you'll have all of the slides, and we're going to send you all of the handouts as well. Speaking of handouts, when you got your reminder email for today's session, there are also 3 links that were included in that. One was the program for the entire conference. Be sure and take a look at that, because not only does it have the bios for all of our presenters, but a lot of other great information. We also sent you all of the handouts for all of the presentations, so there's some great information there. And then finally, we sent you some caregiver resources. Both Age of Central Texas and the Area Agency on Aging pulled together a lot of amazing resources just for you. Because remember, the reason that we're doing these conferences is for you. We want to make sure that you have the tools and the resources and the knowledge and everything that you need to be successful in your caregiving journey. And also remember that no matter where you are in your journey, we are here to help you. That's why our organizations exist. So never feel bad about contacting us for help, because that's why we're here. Finally, you have a chat feature right down here. It looks very much like one of those thought bubbles from the comic strips. Click on that, and you'll be able to type in questions during today's session. Now, we want you to ask questions because, again, this is a presentation for you. So we want you to ask your questions, and we're going to answer them. So at the end of our session, we're going to have a facilitated Q&A, and we're going to answer all of your questions. Now, because we are live today, and we do have a little bit of limited time, we might not get to every single question live. However, we are going to answer your questions. If for some reason we're not able to get to your question during today's live presentation, someone from either Age of Central Texas or the Area Agency on Aging is going to contact you directly and answer your questions. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, because again, this is for you. We want to make sure you have every tool you need. So if something is not clear, if you've got a question about something that is said today, ask those questions, because we want to answer them and we want to help you and give you those tools. Finally, if you look in your chat, we've posted some information with contact for Michelle Davis over the Area Agency on Aging. If any time during the presentation you're having any technical problems, give her a call, because we have got some retirees from the tech field who are standing by this morning who are going to be our tech advisors. So if you're having any issues, she can connect you with one of those folks and they can help talk you through whatever issues you're having with your device. All right, it is my pleasure to introduce and bring back to you again Ms. Patty Bordy from the Area Agency on Aging, and she is going to introduce our speakers for today. Patty, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Rob. I am so excited to be facilitating this session. As a former therapeutic recreation specialist, I totally get the importance of activities, the value of activities. And we did this a similar session a couple of years ago, and it was standing room only. And I'm looking at the number of participants, and we have quite a large crowd again today. So I know you're here to learn this important information, and you will be wowed by this set of presenters that have both the expertise, but also the heart and the passion for what they do and for sharing their information with you. So without further ado, I'm going to first introduce Nicole Stackpole, who has worked with the Memory Connections program at Age of Central Texas for the past 2 years, facilitating support groups and psychoeducational experiences for older adults living with early memory loss and their families. Nicole has a master's degree in dance movement therapy and counseling from Antioch University of New England, and a bachelor's degree in psychology and dance from Bridgewater State University. Nicole enjoys utilizing alternative, innovative, and expressive therapies in understanding the challenges of and helping those that she serves. After Nicole's presentation, Naomi Dalsbo will step in. Naomi is the activity director for Age of Central Texas Thrive Social and Wellness Center in Williamson County. She started as a certified nursing assistant at the center in 2014 and became the activity director in 2015. Naomi was a caregiver to her mother in the 1990s and has since been passionate about learning more about dementia and Alzheimer's disease, allowing her to help families with their journeys. Naomi designs activities that stimulate the body and the mind, and with each activity modified for every strength and every ability, an emotional, social, human being who has some form of dementia. So welcome. We look forward to it. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction, and welcome everybody. I'm so excited that you're all here this morning, and I look forward to hearing some of your questions a little bit later. But today I'm going to be talking about activities for those living with early stage dementia. And then, like Patty said, I'll go ahead and pass the reins over to Naomi, who's going to be sharing with you more about activities for people living with moderate dementia. And this part of the presentation I'll be doing today is based off of my professional experience and my experiences supporting care partners. I always say that if you've met one care partner, great, you've met one care partner. If you've met one person living with dementia, awesome, that's one person living with dementia. Every situation and every person is a little bit different, so please take what you need from this presentation today, and as Rob said, it's being recorded, so feel free to revisit it when new challenges arise. And this format of presenting online is very different than presenting in person. And you might be feeling that as well too, as you might be comfy on your couch or in some comfy clothes. But I wanted to let you know that I'll miss seeing each of your faces today and hearing your voices and making that personal connection in person. And like Rob said, if we don't have time to answer all of your questions today or addressing all of your concerns, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to support you even after this presentation. All right. So what is dementia? I always like to start with that question, what is dementia? Dementia is this umbrella term, and it has over 80 different types of dementia under that umbrella. So that umbrella is used to describe different symptoms that occur due to physical changes in the brain. These symptoms typically affect some or all aspects of cognition, and symptoms, behaviors, and severity will differ by person. No two people with dementia are exactly the same. So what do we mean when we say early stage dementia specifically? Your person likely can do many things themselves. They're relatively able and independent. People who have brief interactions with them might say, oh, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just the Pat that I've known her whole life. I don't notice anything different. They may be less able to anticipate mistakes, but they recover relatively quickly, and they may actually even correct themselves. They really enjoy the familiar. Trying new things is a little bit intimidating. And you may notice that somebody with the early stage of dementia might have some problems with their short-term memory and repeat stories or questions. And their executive functioning may also be impaired, which controls their challenges with planning, problem solving, and judgment. They may make hasty or impulsive decisions. And on the opposite end of that spectrum, they could be very hesitant or reserved. It really depends on the person. And these symptoms that they're experiencing impact their everyday life. So they may often forget information that is easily remembered, such as when to take medicine, conversations that have recently happened, or appointments that have been made. They may routinely misplace belongings, such as their wallet or keys. They might have some trouble with word finding. If they want to tell you about their cat named Sally, they might not be able to pull up that word cat. They might say something like car. They might have some difficulty driving or having some trouble remembering directions, even in familiar places. And when I say difficulty with driving, it's not just getting lost. It can also impact their reaction time, their vision, and among other factors. They might struggle to solve problems, such as keeping track of bills or financial decisions. And they may start to withdraw from some social life. So if they're a regular churchgoer, somebody that goes on a weekly basis, they might stop attending services. You may also see some changes in their personality. They might start becoming more irritable or angry than they typically have been, or even on the opposite end of that spectrum, they might become more sweet and loving. So now that we've covered a little bit about what is dementia and the early stages of dementia, I want to talk to you about some common challenges people living with early dementia experience when participating in activities and hobbies. And this list here is not exhaustive. Instead, think of this as a starting point. Many challenges that people experience in the early stages relate to the emotional response to symptoms. Okay, and the first common challenge I want to talk to you about a little bit more in depth is apathy. So if somebody is apathetic, they might agree ahead of time that they want to do an activity or try a hobby. And then when the moment comes, they're like, no, I just don't really feel like it. And especially right now where we're spending more time at home, an older adult might be feeling socially isolated or lonely. So this feeling of apathy, you might see it a lot more from them right now. And my number one recommendation, if you have a care recipient who seems apathetic, is to make sure that they get screened for depression. The symptoms of depression and early stage dementia, sometimes they overlap, so it's hard to tell the difference between the two, but a medical professional can assess for that. And the good thing about depression is that it's very common and it can be treated. So please make sure to reach out to your doctor to make sure that your care recipient is getting screened for depression. Then you may also want to try to provide some visual reminders. So that might be through a whiteboard, a daily calendar, a weekly calendar. And as you go through and accomplish different tasks, you can cross them off. I know that's one of my favorite things to do, is just take that line, cross it through, and say, okay, I'm done with that. I can move on. And it's a good way for them to keep track of what they have accomplished and they feel good about. And you're going to hear me say this a lot today, but consider having a conversation with the person. So ask them how they feel about participating in the activity. We can always make assumptions of why we think it's not going well, but as somebody's living in the early stages, it's a good time to have a conversation with them, see how they're feeling, see what's on their brain, and really get to the nitty-gritty of what's going on for them. And the next challenge that I'd like to go over with you all is embarrassment. Embarrassment is a challenge that might be harder for the older adult to express exactly why they don't like something, because embarrassment is something that can be very confusing and overwhelming for somebody living in the early stages of dementia. They are typically aware of what is changing for them. So they know, I used to be able to do something and I can't do it now. Why is this happening? So they're concerned that others might notice their symptoms, or you might hear them say, I just don't like to do it. And my best advice for this is to go ahead and talk about it. Have a conversation with the person about this. It's good to know ahead of time how to support that person when they're in that embarrassing situation or feeling embarrassment, to know ahead of time how to support them. I know it's really challenging when you're in that moment feeling embarrassed and somebody offers more support. Sometimes that can be overwhelming. Okay. And our next challenge I'd like to discuss with you is fatigue. So when someone is feeling fatigued, they might be tired, frustrated, overwhelmed, and this can happen more quickly and more often than it typically would. Some strategies that you want to try is to go ahead and, again, talk about it, plan ahead of time. How can you support this person if they're feeling this way? If you are in a situation where the person is starting to show that they're getting fatigued, go ahead, pull them aside, have a one-on-one conversation with them. Ask them, what's going on? What can we do? If you need to, go ahead and leave early. There's no shame in leaving a situation or an outing early. Go ahead and take that break, get on out of there, because you know that things might just start to spiral from there and get worse. A good way to reset and rejuvenate if you're feeling fatigued is to go for a walk. Changing your environment, getting the blood flowing, that has a lot of benefits and might give the older adult a little bit more energy. And then on the opposite side of that is to go ahead and take a nap. I hear a lot of care partners share that their care recipient, they take a nap every afternoon. Sometimes it's for 2 hours. Is that okay? When you think about it, they're taking in a lot of information from their environment all the time. Those sensory experiences can be overwhelming. It's more to process. It takes a lot more energy to process them. So in the afternoon, they might want to take a nap and go ahead and recharge their batteries for the rest of the day. If they're starting to show that they are fatigued, that's okay. Have them take a nap. In your schedule of activities that you're doing for the day, make sure that one day isn't full of everything. So if you're going to the doctor for an appointment and then you're going out to lunch, then you're going to come home, you're going to mow the grass and make dinner and then have the grandkids over. That is one jam-packed day. I feel fatigued even thinking about something like that. So make sure to take those really strong activities or social connections and spread them out throughout the week so that not everything is happening in one day where it might be very tiresome for that older adult. And again, go ahead, watch for the emotions they might show when they're feeling fatigued, so tired, frustration, overwhelmed, and go ahead and offer support to them. And our last common challenge that I want to talk to you guys about today is anxiety, fear, and confusion. And you may notice your care recipient goes from content and happy to agitated and ready to leave very quickly. A lot of care partners say, I had no idea they were feeling that way. It went from 0 to 10, just like that. That's very common. The person might want to just go ahead and give up, or they'll say, this is too much, I can't do this. Take into consideration that you should have these conversations with the older adult ahead of time. So not when they're in this heightened state. If you want to talk about how to support them when they're feeling this way, do that ahead of time. When they're in the moment of feeling this anxiety, fear, confusion, try to calm them down and soothe them. You can talk to them later about how it went after. Don't try to fix the problem in the moment. And some strategies to try for trying to calm them in the moment might be taking a walk, taking a break, trying some deep breathing, distracting them, so changing the subject or activity or playing some soothing music. Validate their emotions in that moment, even if you don't agree or you don't understand where they're coming from. It's a pretty terrible feeling when you're anxious or fearful and someone says, "Oh, Nicole, you have nothing to worry about. You're being irrational." Be their teammate in this, even if it doesn't make sense to you in that moment, it is their reality. Okay. Now that we've covered some common challenges, I want to talk a little bit more about how to adapt hobbies and activities. And it's important to adapt hobbies or interests that your person used to do or find new hobbies. I'm always pleasantly surprised by the amount of people living with early dementia who enjoy an activity that they say they'd never do, they'd never even try. So for example, if somebody has rode motorcycles their whole life and they love riding motorcycles, very proud of that, very independent, and they're not riding their motorcycles anymore. And we say, "Hey, how about you try gardening?" And they're like, "Gardening? I've never thought about that. I don't want to do gardening. That doesn't sound like fun." We say, "Okay, well, let's go ahead and try it. We'll try it a couple times, see what happens." And they end up loving it. They love that they can produce something that is meaningful to their family. It makes them feel productive, like they're giving back. So it's really nice to try something and not just go off of what the older adult tells you they have been interested in or what you know they have been interested in the past. Really focus on what the older adult still can do and adapt to that. And again, have a conversation. What does the person enjoy about the activity? What benefits do they experience? What is challenging for them now? How are they feeling about the activity now? And I just want to go through this slide a little bit more in depth and talk about some examples of activities and how you can adapt them to give you some ideas of what that might look like. So for an older adult who has always had an interest in woodworking, maybe they were a contractor, built boats or picnic tables. That's something they may have done in the past, and now you as a care partner are having some concerns about safety. And they might have difficulty planning a project, they can't accomplish it, they might need to use tools that you don't really feel comfortable with them using. Go ahead, and what you can do is try to lay out everything they need ahead of time and reduce distractions. So maybe if they used to do these activities, woodworking while they had music playing, maybe you take away the music to see if that one sensory experience being taken away makes things more manageable for them. And a good example of how to adapt this type of activity would be completing a birdhouse kit. So when you think about a birdhouse kit, it comes with everything in a neat little package. So we don't have to think about going to find different things to use to create this. It's all right there for you. There may be a picture on the box of a completed example, so you know exactly what it should look like. It's like having a model in front of you. And you can always refer back to those instructions that come with it. It's laid out, steps 1, 2, and 3. This is what you do. Some even have pictures of the examples. So that's a good way to try to adapt that woodworking as the older adult might progress in their early dementia over time. And then another example is a virtual class at a senior center. So this might be challenging because it's something new. So there might be some fear, some embarrassment. It might be confusing because they're not quite sure how video conferencing works. And some strategies to try would be to support them by planning a time of day that works best for them. So if there's a class that takes place at 5 p.m. and you know that your care recipient is not at their sharp point at 5 p.m., don't have them try the class out at 5 p.m. Have them go to the one that's at 10 a.m. the next day, where it's early in the morning, they're feeling rejuvenated, they're ready to try something new. And make sure that you try to give examples of what it might look like. So, hey, I know that you really enjoy dancing. You used to do the tango all the time. Well, they're going to talk more about the tango in this video meeting. Awesome, that sounds so great. This virtual class sounds like something I'd be really interested in. And a good way to also get an older adult encouraged to do this is to try the class together. That way you're there to support them if they need it. And you can let them know, hey, this is something new for me too. I'm feeling a little bit apprehensive about it, but I'm glad that we're here doing this together and we can support each other. That way it feels like a meaningful experience for both of you, and they know, okay, feeling anxious about that, this is normal, and I'm glad I have my favorite person here with me to do this. And one last example here is taking photos. So an older adult might be reluctant to try this because they may never have taken photos before. They might not know where to start. I know if you tell me to take a photo, I'm going to be like, okay, of what, where, what is it supposed to look like, where is it going to go? So there are some challenges that can arise when you try to take some photos. And some strategies you can utilize is to focus on the process, don't focus on the product. So encourage them to try it. If you tell them, hey, I would think you should go take a picture of something red, and then they come back with something yellow, that's okay. They took a picture, that's what's most important. Don't focus on what the end goal is, focus on the process of getting the photo. And you also might want to utilize an expert. So bringing a third party in is a great recommendation. Somebody else that can help them, somebody else that can help support them when they're feeling frustrated. Maybe you have a grandchild or a friend who really knows how to use the latest iPhone and they want to help this older adult living with early dementia take some photos. Great, we have somebody here that the older adult enjoys spending time with, and somebody who is an expert, they can go ahead and team up and take those photos together. And some ways that you can adapt this activity is that if the older adult doesn't feel comfortable using a camera on a phone, go ahead and get a Polaroid camera. Use something that they do feel more comfortable with at first. And ask the person to take photos of something that might be in the house versus outside of the house. Or you could even take that and narrow it down even more if it's just in one room versus in the entire house. That might be too overwhelming. Go ahead and try things out, see what works, what doesn't work, and just go ahead and support them through that journey. And in the resources that Rob mentioned, you're going to see some more activities and examples of them and how to adapt them in the resources from this presentation. You're going to find examples of activities that we have emailed out to our age clients experiencing early memory loss. We show instructions for the activity as if they were doing it independently, as well as instructions for those who may want or need to do them with a friend or family member. So there are a lot of good activity examples in there as well. And now I want to move on to just some helpful strategies to try for any activity. So any activity out there, these are some good general recommendations for things that you can try. You see these 4 categories here. Be intentional, make sure it's independent and doable. Communicate, I know I've said that a lot today, and focus on the connection. So be intentional. What setup and support for this activity would help the person be successful? You want to set them up for success as much as you can, but also don't be too hard on yourself because you're only human. There's only so much that you can do. You're not perfect. You can do everything to set them up, and sometimes it doesn't go well. That is okay. That's totally okay. Set the environment up without any visual or auditory distractions. Use experts, friends, families, invite others to do activities with the older adult and provide tips, guidance, and suggestions on how they might be able to help them if they're not really sure. And keep trying. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Exactly. Keep doing that. If something doesn't work one day during a time that you're trying it out, try it a different day at a different time. As you probably know, each older adult living with early stage dementia, every day is different. Some days are good and you don't know why. Some days are bad and you don't know why. So just go ahead and keep trying. And make sure that the challenge is doable for the individual, the older adult. And a lot of that is you really managing your own expectations to make sure they're realistic based off of the current level of cognition the older adult is experiencing. So go ahead, take that idea that you have of how this person has been their whole life, take it and throw it out the door. And know that the person that you have with you today is the person you have with you today. It might change tomorrow. It might have been different yesterday, but just focus on who you have in the moment with you now. They're not the person that they used to be, and that is okay. Focus on the process, not the outcome. The goal is connection. The goal is not to be Picasso, not to create the next Mona Lisa, nothing like that. It's really just focusing on the process, not the product. And let them do as much as they can by themselves, even if you want to help them. Even if you say, oh no, I know, no, you're not supposed to do that there. Go ahead and press pause for yourself and let them do things themselves. As long as they're safe and content, pause yourself. Don't chime in yet. Don't help. It's not going to be perfect. That's okay. We all want to feel like we have purpose and that we can do things on our own. If you can, and the older adult seems open to it, go ahead and do some of the activity together and then allow them to work alone or at their own pace, then talk about it. And I know I've talked about this a lot, is communication. When you're communicating with that older adult, do not ask them if they want to do something. If you ask me if I want to go to the gym, I'm always going to tell you no. I'm going to say no. Ask the person to help you. So for example, you just got home from grocery shopping, there's a lot of groceries, and then your care recipient starts following you out to the car, back inside, and following you and following you. This shadowing experience may become irritating to you. So go ahead, turn to the person, say, Carol, I need you to help me bring the groceries in from the car. Take these paper towels and follow me inside, please. I really appreciate it when you help me. It makes things so much easier. That way they feel like, okay, now I have something I know how to do. I can actually do it, and I feel like I'm being helpful. Make sure that you can give multiple forms of concrete instructions. So you can give verbal instructions, written instructions, and make sure that the older adult has the opportunity to take things one step at a time. And again, focus on that connection, support and connect each other. Keep an eye out for frustration and allow space to process any emotions that may come up. Take a break if you need it. There's no shame in taking a break, taking a breather, coming back to it later. And really encourage and be a cheerleader for that person. You can say something to them like, looking good, you're doing a great job. I love how creative you're getting today. Even if it doesn't look or seem like it's going the way you want it to, that's okay. Encouraging words are really the goal. And I have to say, it goes without saying, use humor. In those moments when things are frustrating and it doesn't make sense and it's not how you had planned, go ahead and laugh. Being harder on yourself or harder on the care recipient is going to be more detrimental and more stressful for you and them. And I'm going to go ahead and address another topic here that might be coming up more often for you now as we've been spending more time at home, and that is using technology with people living with early stage dementia. And some strategies to try would be to try out the technology. Try it out by using a device the older adult feels comfortable with. I know there's a lot of apprehension with some computers. It doesn't make sense. There's too many buttons. So what you could do, start to introduce the activity is by streaming a video meeting through your TV. So they're comfy, they're sitting on the couch and they see this video meeting on the TV. It feels like they're watching a program that they enjoy. You may consider dialing into a meeting through making a phone call or using a video camera on your phone if the person feels more comfortable with the phone versus a computer. And it's really good to try things out ahead of time and try them with people the older adult is comfortable with, so that if there are any technical hiccups, you know, okay, I've already tried this out. I know the camera works. I know the audio works. And that goes without saying that technology is only so good. I know in presentations like these, you can go ahead and do as much setup and preparation as you like, but at the end of the day, some things are out of your control, and that's okay. Go with the flow. If any hiccups come up, just address them as you need to. And make sure that you give technology a fair shot, especially if the first time your older adult tries out some technology and it's not a positive experience. Make sure they try it at least 3 times before calling it quits. Go ahead and write those 3 times on the calendar. Once you've accomplished them, go ahead and cross them off so that there's a visual reminder of what you have done and where you're going. And go ahead and ask for help. There are great resources out there to help you and your older adult get familiar with technology, such as Zoom, Senior Planet. You could reach out to friends and families or even other organizations like Age of Central Texas. And a good recommendation as well is to go ahead and adapt. If the older adult is hesitant to try, go ahead and ask them what their concerns are. Be a curious investigator and problem solve together. Ask them, what don't you like about it? Can you hear what's being said? If you can't hear what's going on, I wouldn't like it either. Are there any, take into consideration, are there any technical snafus happening? Is the internet connection bad? Is there a lag in the video? Challenges are bound to come up. Nothing is perfect, even technology. So make sure that you have those conversations with your care recipient. Join them in online activities if you can. And I know a common challenge that we've had is people not being able to hear audio coming through their computer. You'll see some people on this video meeting today, our facilitators and hosts wearing headsets with microphones. Those work really well. It blocks out any background noise that might be happening outside and makes the noise come straight into their ears, so it's a lot more clear. And the last thing I wanted to talk to y'all about today is a wonderful program that Age of Central Texas is in the process of creating. And we're delighted to let you know that this new program is coming to a computer screen near you soon. It's going to be called Virtual Connections. And there's some information on your screen here today about it. And there's also some information in the resources that Rob mentioned at the beginning of this presentation. If you're interested in learning more about Virtual Connections, please go ahead and reach out to us, let us know, and we'll reach out to you when the program officially launches. It hasn't gone live yet. So you're some of the first people to hear about it. And basically what we're doing is we're offering support virtually to older adults through different cognitive levels. So whether you're in the early stages, the moderate stages, or the late stages, we're hopeful to be able to support you either through group or one-on-one activities. So we're really excited to be able to offer that coming to a computer screen near you soon. And if you have any interest in that, go ahead, reach out to us. And we would be delighted to talk to you more about it once it is up and running. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and pass the reins over to Naomi, who's going to be chatting more with you about activities for those living with the moderate stages of dementia.
Thank you, Nicole. Hello, everybody. I just want to start off saying thank you. Thank you for everything that you do caring for your loved one. One of the things that you're going to notice is from early stage dementia going into the middle stage dementia, you go from being a care partner to a caregiver. So you're going to hear some different wording that I might use. When doing some activities or anything with someone who has dementia, I want you to start focusing on what we can still do. Listen to what they're saying with their whole person, with what they're saying, what they're doing, the silences in between. You're going to become a detective. Did you know that a person with dementia, middle stage dementia, only hears 7% of what you're saying? 7% of our words. 38% is our tone. And then 55% is our body language. It's amazing. So I'm going to give you some examples. Say your loved one is on the couch and you want to get them to move to a different location or to do something with you. And you just say, come with me. Okay. But if you say, come with me, I'm a little bit more inclined to do so. But if you hold out your hand and you get down to their eye level and you're like, come with me, I'd be more willing to go with you to that one, right? So we're going to keep in mind our own body language and our own what we're saying so that they're more comfortable with you. Let's see, I know it can be trying at times, and you are going to get annoyed or upset. This is normal. It is okay. You are learning as you go. You were not trained to do any of this, so there's going to be hiccups, and it's okay. So that's what we're here for. So here's one tip from me being a caregiver to another caregiver that helped me immensely. And it's called the door. Yep, a door. It will become one of your best friends. When you're starting to feel overwhelmed, excuse yourself and go to the nearest door, even if it's a pantry door or a linen closet. And I want you to, as you're walking towards that door, imagine that door like this one, full of fresh air, a new beginning. Go in, even if it's the linen closet, go in, collect yourself, and then walk back out and start over. This is gonna take away a lot of tension. If they want to go home, you've tried everything and they just want to go home, they're antsy, they need to go outside, go for a walk, even if it's in the backyard, and then come back in as if it was a new day. All right, so when our loved ones get to middle stage dementia, your person can remember their name, but not their address. They have less ability to concentrate, so they have difficulty organizing their thoughts and to follow logic. They get disoriented with time and place. So it's natural for a caregiver to just do things for them because it's just easier. We live in a society of hurry up and do it, hurry up and do it. But with this hurry up and do it, we wind up giving the feeling to our loved one of, oh, I'm in the way, I can't do things right, I'm a burden, I'm useless. So let's take this time now during this pandemic where everybody's stuck at home to slow down and take our time. It's okay if it takes them 5 minutes to put on their shirt and pants, right? So try speaking to them in a calm, confident voice. Give clear, simple instructions, and use gestures when you're giving these examples and suggestions. If they can still read, use simple written reminders in different places. It's okay to have them up. You must repeat yourself. If you must repeat yourself, ask yourself, how can I reword this in a simpler term that maybe they'll be able to understand? Always give them choices. Give them two choices between one of two things. Always give them a choice of things. They have difficulty organizing their thoughts and following logic. If they decide to wear polka dots with striped pants, it's okay, really. Their moods can change at any time. Sometimes we need to respond to the emotion instead of the words that they're saying. And a lot of times they just need some reassurance. So let's just keep in mind that our tone, body language, and they may have problems understanding and expression, spoken, written language, but they'll pick up on our body language and our tone. All right. There are 4 types of activities: productive, leisure, self-care, rest, and restoration. We will go over each one individually. I would like for you to keep in mind that each of these activities should match what your loved one can do. So productive is the first one. It is, I make a difference. I'm useful. I still have a reason to be here. And some of those examples are polishing some silverware. So you don't have to use any chemicals to polish silverware if you don't want them to. You can get them wet, put them in a basket wet, they're going to wind up with some spots. Give them a rag and let them polish it off like that, right? If you don't want them doing your silverware, can you buy an extra set at the Goodwill or something and just let it be their set? Recycling or breaking down some boxes. This one I absolutely love because anybody can do it. They go from big boxes to even the small pasta boxes, like the macaroni and cheese boxes. If you think they're at a risk of cutting themselves, just have them pick at the tape until the tape is gone. Is there a sign that you might be able to put up in the kitchen that says, if there are boxes here, please help me break down? You know, that way they're not asking what to do. They see it and they're like, oh, okay. You can put silverware that needs rolled up. You know, what else can we do? Some paper, different colored construction paper, and put them in and ask them to separate it out through different colors. Usually when I ask somebody to do that, they wind up putting every single color in each stacks. So instead of separating out yellows, blues, greens, I wind up having yellow, blue, green, yellow, blue, green, yellow, blue, green. It's not what I asked for, but it's still okay because it kept them busy and they felt useful. So it's okay. If you can, use some baskets with different signs on it that says, you know, please sort me. Can you please polish this silverware? Or just polish silverware and leave a rag in there with the silverware. Vacuuming, sweeping, dusting. If you don't want them to do the entire house, can they at least do their own room? And I'm not saying that to expect them to clean your house. I'm just saying let them do it the way that they want to do it. And then you can do it at a later time. Don't go behind them doing it. Please don't do that. But let them do it. And then on a later day or later time, you can go ahead and do the cleaning. But the pre-clean was done, right? Making the bed. Can they make their own bed? Does it have to be perfect? If it does, then let them make the bed. And then you can go back when they're not in the room and make the bed the way that you would like the bed. The pantry. This one's a good one to practice putting on our gloves and our masks now that we're having to wear them. When you get cans or anything that's in your pantry, put them on the table, give them gloves, give them a mask. It'll be good practice for them. And a wet rag and a dry rag, and ask them to wipe it down. We don't know where those cans have been beforehand. This was something that I did before all of this COVID stuff. So now you just add the mask and gloves, and then, hey, cutting out coupons. Even if you don't do coupons, can you give it to neighbors? Can you give it to whomever? Leave them in the store, you know? Just think outside the box. Might even get your cupboards cleaned. Are there any other things that you might be able to think of that falls into this category? Leisure. Leisure activity is, I do it because I like to do it. Depending on the person, it can be done differently. There are two different kinds, passive or active, and some of them fall in between the two. But first, we're going to talk about the passive. So passive people like to take it in. They like to watch. They're the quiet one. They just want to see things. Do they like bird watching? You know, can they sit outside and count how many birds that they saw, or write down the different colors that they saw? Or can you laminate a card of all the different birds that you have in your area, and they can check it off as they see them? And that way you can wipe it down and use it the next day. Let's see, reading, writing, gardening. If they like to read and they want to read some stuff, now that we're doing all of this computer, have they done a Zoom call with their grandkids or great grandkids or something? And can they read a book to each other? Next is active people. These people like to walk, dance, paint, beading, crocheting, knitting. if they can't knit or crochet anymore, can they roll up that yarn into a ball? And then later on in the night, you can unravel it and unroll it, and the next day they can roll it back up. You don't need to be around them while they're doing it. You might need to be with them to get it started and walk away, and you get that free time. And it's okay if it doesn't turn out into a ball and it's just like a loop. As long as they're busy and they're feeling productive, it's being done correctly. So we're going to be living in the moment and to moment life with our middle stage people. The next one is self-care. Taking care of our own body, inside and out. If you would like to, feel free to put up notes on things such as the bathroom mirror, put a daily checklist like Nicole was talking about, laminate a paper that says brush my teeth, brush my hair, you know, do all of these different things, and have them cross it off so then they know what was done, and then they won't be spending 15 minutes in the bathroom brushing their teeth over and over and over again. They can see that they did do it. Of course, if you want them to brush their teeth over and over and over again, that's completely different. We should all be doing some of these next ones anyways, right? Like hydration. I'm guilty of not doing it. Eating healthy, exercising, our personal hygiene and nail care, the hands and the feet. Someone with middle stage dementia is best to have a routine, to know what's coming next, even though it's the feeling of knowing what's coming next. So if you haven't done so already, I would start putting them on a toileting schedule every 2 hours. Hey, would you mind coming with me? And then walk around a little bit and say, hey, you know what, before we sit back down, why don't we just go ahead and go to the restroom? Every 2 hours, try to do that. So then it becomes a routine later on, so it won't be a problem. Pants. Go from the pants with zippers and buttons to just the pull-up pants. This is going to help you so much. And they can get themselves stressed with that if they're having problems with buttons and zippers instead of trying to change it later on. Your shoes. Change their shoes to the slip-on ones instead of, you know, the tie ones if they're having problems tying. And that way they can put on their own shoes and you don't have to be tying it because you don't want them to fall over or trip over them. Okay, those are just some suggestions. The next one's going to be some rest and restoration. How do I charge up mentally, physically, and spiritually? Well, you can always sit in a chair like you see there and just relax. No one can work 24/7, 365 days. You as a caregiver, you need to take a break in order to take care of them. So if you notice, Nicole used care partner and I used caregiver. So these people, your loved ones, they're going to need a little bit more supervision. So it's okay to ask for help. There are people out there that you may not know want to help you. They just don't know how to help you, so they're not going to ask if they could help you. So take a couple of minutes and write down the different things that other people can help you do. And, you know, let your church people know, you know, I need help 1 hour a week on Wednesdays. And this is if you're okay with people coming into your house right now. If I can get somebody to help me 1 hour on Wednesdays, please. And it's okay if you use that 1 hour on Wednesdays to go take a nap because you're taking care of you. It's okay if you want to use that 1 hour to go grocery shopping. It's okay by yourself. And it's okay if you want to use that just to relax in the backyard without having to think of anything. It's okay. You can ask other family members too. Some family members just don't know what to help you with. So using a list of things that they might be able to help you with, they can be like, oh, you know what? I can do that. Let me do that with them for you. Trust me, it's a win-win all around. You need to take care of you in order to take care of your loved one. All right. So next is the breakdown. Productive, leisure, self-care, rest, restoration. Here's a couple of extra little activities that you can do. I want you to always use humor when you can. Oh my gosh, humor relieves anxiety and tension. It increases respiratory and oxygen exchange, and it relaxes all that tension. It goes away. Try not to criticize. If something went wrong, don't blame them. Don't blame how they were doing it. Blame the product. You know, that silverware, gosh darn it, just doesn't want to shine. Well, you know what? Let's get a different rag and wet it just a little bit. Okay. Here's some more activities. Try on different hats in front of the mirror. Have her try on her or him different hats in front of the mirror. What kind of different faces can I make? If you want to do it together, awesome. If you want to do it with some grandkids or some other kids, grown kids even, it's fun. I do it by myself in the bathroom sometimes when I just need a good laugh. Cleaning out the cupboards, sweeping the back deck. Do the chairs need wiped down? You might have to get them started, but once they get started, then you can walk away and then just show up every so often and say, hey, you know what? Thank you so much. All right, so leisure activity. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost track of where I'm at. Go through some magazines. Tell them that you're looking for different pictures of elephants. Tell them that you need to find different types of styles of hats or something, and have them tear them out if it's okay. There's a lot of people that are trying to get rid of magazines. Flowers, fresh flowers, fake flowers, have them arrange them. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything. You can just put the fake flowers on the table, get a plastic vase, pick one up and put it in the vase and say, huh, and walk away. And you'll be amazed on how many times they're like, oh, am I free to do this? All right. And then they wind up making their own arrangement. And then the next day you can take it apart and do the same thing. Play with a balloon. Playing with a balloon is fun at all ages. Oh my gosh, it is so much fun. Sitting at a table and just batting it back and forth at each other is something that you don't have to think about. Even as a caregiver, it's fun because you're living in the moment, you're letting everything go, you're getting, you know, to just be a kid again. It is not childish. Talk to them. Use open-ended questions. Do you like cats or dogs? Oh yeah? What's your favorite thing to do with them? Lotion up your hands, your legs, your arms. Give each other some shoulder massages. Who does not like that? Dance to some music. Who cares if people are watching? Do your own rhythm. Dancing is another form of exercise. And so if they don't want to exercise, you get them dancing. Do that electric slide. Sorting some books and magazines. How many nursery rhymes can you go over? And how many can I start and you finish, kind of a thing? There are coloring, word searches, writing, pen paling right now is something that we've been doing with our members. That way they're still feeling useful and they're hearing from somebody new who's also being given a purpose. It's nice to have a friend that you haven't seen, but you know. Jenga, dominoes, matching game. Here's one. If you make cards with pictures of your family members on them and you play the matching game like that, that way when people start coming back into your house, they still recognize them because they've been looking at them all the time, right? Money counting. So long as they don't eat it, have them roll up those coins. Homemade Play-Doh. Water, flour, salt is all you need. If they eat it, it's okay. They ate it. It's not going to hurt them. If they don't eat it, you can put it in the oven, let it dry out, and then have them paint it. If you don't want to do that, then just store it in the fridge, you know, and just keep adding water as it dries out. Let's talk about the different ways that things can be done. And it's all okay here as an example of different ways we can color. So I had different members around and they colored differently. So the first one that you see, her coloring is just outlining it. Well, she's keeping busy. She loves the outcome. She's, you know, feeling like she's doing something that's very useful. She's like into it. And then we have a member that is into details. You know, she's not going to color outside the line. And the one that didn't color outside the line, she did the last page that you see scribbles on. So I usually use the ones that are colored in nice and perfectly and everything, and she's going to throw them out or wait a few weeks, and then I'll give them to somebody who just wants to color all over the page. None of these were done wrong. All of them were done just right. Why? Because they were engaged in this activity. So there is no wrong way of doing it. Okay. So what if my loved one has certain challenges such as visual or hearing? Well, here are some suggestions. The one that is not up here though, are if my person only has use of one arm, you can still adapt everything. Okay, you just need to think outside the box, talk to different people, or contact us and we'll help you brainstorm. Use a clipboard when they want to color or write. Use one of those baking sheets, those rubber baking sheets, and put it on the table. It keeps anything from moving. That's what we use. You're not alone, and you're not going to come up with all of the answers if you just do it by yourself. Use your community, use your people around you, use your support to brainstorm on how to do different things with all of our different ways. I got into activities 5 years ago, and I love it. I like the challenges. I like seeing the smiles. I like looking at the person just flourish in the idea that I can't do this wrong. I'm going to try. So, most important thing is to keep it simple. Don't be hard on yourself. If something is not working out as desired, change it up. The objective is to enjoy the time you have with your loved one as much as you can, even in late stage dementia. So the late stage dementia, ideally, it's about the end of life care. So you can still make a huge impact on our late stage people. They have difficulty eating and swallowing. They need assistance walking. Eventually, they're not able to walk. They need full-time help with personal care. At this point, you can still express your love to them through touch, sound, sight, smell. For example, if they loved cooking or they loved eating, you know, take them to the kitchen in a wheelchair, or if the bed's on wheels, take it into the kitchen and cook with them, talk with them as you're cooking. That makes a huge difference right there. Rub lotion of all their favorite scents on them. If they're allergic to those scents, is there any way that you can just, you know, use some other senses around the room and just talk about it? Ooh, this cinnamon reminds me of, oh, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of winter when you have the apple cinnamon teas. Oh, and just talk to them. They can talk back to you with their eyes. You'll see it. If they used to like to knit and stuff, have them feel the different textures and talk about the different yarns. You'd be amazed. And music is huge. Dance to it. They'll be dancing with you. So Let's see, I lost my place. Even if they are restricted with what they can manage, they can still enjoy the feelings and sensations of activities. In the later stages, people may respond more to things that stimulate their senses, sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste, more than words. Think of ways to stimulate the person's senses and help with how they might feel in the moment. I hope I helped out a little bit. If you have any questions, let us know. Thank you for wanting to enrich your life and the loved one's life.
Rob, I believe you're on mute.
You know, I clicked the button and it didn't unmute. So there we go. Thank you so much, Naomi. Thank you, Nicole. We really, really appreciate so much you sharing your expertise in helping us to come up with activities because, you know, especially with COVID, we've gone from being the caregiver in the morning and at night to being the caregiver 24/7. And sometimes it's hard to try to think of what we're going to do next. So these are really fantastic suggestions. Before we go to our Q&A, we've got one more thing we want to share with you. Jessica Martone from the Area Agency on Aging has some information about upcoming education activities and opportunities for you, the caregiver, and for your folks as well. So we're going to share those right now.
Hello, I'm Jessica Martone, Health and Wellness Coordinator for the Area Agency on Aging of the Capital Area. I'd like to share some information about the wonderful online workshops our office has available to help keep older adults engaged in better managing their own health conditions. All programs are available at no cost to you. If you have any questions about the material that I'm presenting, please reach out to me through the phone number or the email address that you see on your screen. Also, our wonderful team can answer any questions that you would like to enter in the chat box during this presentation. Throughout this presentation, I have included many pictures of real people who are participants or volunteers in our programs, so you may see someone that you recognize. The Area Agency on Aging of the Capital Area provides 4 evidence-based workshops to the older adults in our 10-county region. The designation of evidence-based means that the programs have been followed for many years and have repeatable positive outcomes for their participants. Just like all the services provided by the Area Agency on Aging, there's no cost to attend any of these workshops. All programs are currently offered online and or will be offered online very soon. So let's talk about the programs. First, I want to talk to you about our 3 self-management programs. This slide shows you that 80% of older adults have at least one chronic condition, and 65% have 2 or more chronic conditions. A chronic condition is something that you manage on a daily basis. There's no cure, no pill that will make it better in a few days or weeks, no surgical procedure to correct the condition. You may see your doctor a few times a year to discuss symptoms management, but for the most part, you're the one who makes the decisions on how you want to manage the chronic condition. As you can see from the slide, this includes things like arthritis, depression, high blood pressure, and so many more. All of the self-management workshops that we offer through the Area Agency on Aging were developed at Stanford University starting in the early 1990s. They include chronic disease self-management, chronic pain self-management, and diabetes self-management. The self-management workshops help you add tools to your personal toolbox each week to help you better manage your symptoms and keep doing the things that you enjoy in life. These tools focus on breaking the symptom cycle. This includes common symptoms that most people living with chronic conditions identify as problematic. The toolbox and the symptom cycle vary slightly for each program, but have many of the same things in each workshop. For example, we discuss ways to get better sleep. This in turn will have you feeling less fatigue. Less fatigue can help you improve stress and physical limitations. If we improve our physical activity, we can help with shortness of breath and improve depression. The chronic pain workshop will also include a greater emphasis on pacing and planning your day, on medication management and physical activity. While the diabetes self-management workshop is going to spend more time on healthy eating, testing your blood glucose, and managing complications. All the programs include a weekly action plan that the participants choose for themselves, choosing a small weekly step to move towards a larger goal. They report back to the group each week if they've accomplished their action plan. We cover problem solving and decision making in all 3 workshops as well. These are a few pictures of some of the participants who have completed the programs with us. Don't they look like they had a really great time? Each of the workshops has a participant limitation to encourage small group communication each week. We meet once a week for 6 weeks, and each session is about 2.5 hours long. But don't worry, we take a break in the middle. As I mentioned earlier, they're all offered online right now to keep everyone safe at home. I've been told by many participants that they love the online option because transportation can be such an issue for so many of them. As long as you have internet access and a computer or a tablet or a smartphone, you can sign up to join our next workshop. The A Matter of Balance program, which is a fall prevention workshop, that was developed at Boston University in 1995. We're excited to be offering the A Matter of Balance fall prevention workshop online in the next few months. In this program, participants will learn that aging is not something that causes a fall. Most falls are preventable. We can reduce our chance of having a fall by making our home safer, learning exercises that will increase our strength and balance. We're going to cover so many subjects in this 8-week workshop that will help us reduce the chance of having a fall. And we have a lot of fun doing it. So what do we do during these 8 weeks in this workshop? We cover some very important topics related to fall prevention. We have group discussions. We do problem solving, lots of skill building. There's assertiveness training. We share practical solutions to barriers. We watch a couple of videos and we develop an action plan. We also do a short exercise program. There's much more that's covered in the 8-week workshop. And these are some great volunteers from our office that you see smiling at you in that picture. So the A Matter of Balance program is also limited in the number of participants in each workshop to encourage group discussion about the many subjects that we talk about. We meet once a week for a 2-hour session with a break in the middle, of course. This program, again, is 8 weeks long, but those 8 weeks just seem to fly by. In this picture, you see some doctoral physical therapy students from the University of St. Augustine, and they partner with us to help bring these workshops to our community in parts of our 10-county region. So finally, I hope that you will find these workshops as valuable as we do. If you would like to get registered for the next upcoming workshop, or if you have additional questions, please contact me by phone or by email, or enter your questions in the chat box and our team will answer them for you. I thank you all so very much, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you so much, Jessica. We appreciate you sharing that information with us. So we are now going to answer your questions. I'm going to bring back Patricia Bordy from the Area Agency on Aging. She's going to facilitate for us along with Naomi and Nicole. And we've got some great questions. We also want to remind you, ask those questions. That's why we're here. We're here to help you with your journey as a caregiver. So send us those questions and let us know how we can be of assistance to you. Patricia, I'm going to let you take over.
Okay. There's one that's not really a question, but it's an individual saying, put me on the list for the virtual connections when it's ready. So they're all excited about that. And then, you know, like Rob said, we've got people's contacts, so we'll make sure that we share that. I'm having a lot of comments.
I'm going to share one thing real quick, Patty. We were talking about activities that you can do with your loved one. And when COVID started, all of our programs, both at Age of Central Texas and at Area Agency on Aging, you know, we had to go from doing in-person programming to doing virtual programming. Mm-hmm. And so at Age of Central Texas, we put together a whole page of activities. I'm sharing with you, this is our website at Age of Central Texas. You can just Google Age of Central Texas, or it's ageofcentraltx.org. Right up here, you can click the activities to share at home. And we have just a ton of things that we have found online that we want to share with you, things that are videos that you can sit and watch together. There are activities that you can do together, coloring pages you can download. There are a ton of web cams that you can go and watch. There are virtual tours, for everything from looking at elephants in Africa to going to Disney World and walking around through Disney World, going to museums all over the world. There are hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of things on this list. Yeah. So if you're at a loss of what to do, go take a look at that list. There's things that we have found and just kind of put them all together in one spot. And we update it as we go and add new things. So that can be a really good resource for you if you're kind of trying to figure out, what do I do? One other thing I wanted to talk about, because Patty, I know you've got a long background also in doing activities, is something that Naomi brought up at the beginning of the session, and we've talked about through all of this, and that is your body language. Because, you know, we don't, as we get older and we start having cognitive issues, we don't see as well, we don't hear as well, and we don't comprehend as well, but we can still read that body language. So let's talk about that just for a little bit, about how we can keep that in our minds when we're sharing our time with the person that we help care for. So, Patty, I'm going to throw it to you because I know you want
to throw it to me. Okay.
Because you've got a lot of experience.
Right. It really is. I mean, okay. I wasn't sure if you wanted our experts to answer. I know in my own experience, and I had personal experience with this, if I got even the slightest bit agitated, the individuals that I was working with got agitated right back at me. So I would just really take a deep breath, use as much of my deep breathing techniques as possible, walk away, get at a distance if that was at all possible, making sure they were safe, of course. Just counting to that 60 seconds, being away, moving away, and just calming myself down. You know, and if it was a day that I was having a particularly bad day, I think it was Naomi that was talking about trying to bring in other people whenever possible to give yourself that break. Because using and doing activities when you're at home is great, but if you're still doing them all by yourself, you're still going to need that break sometimes. So I would bring somebody else who might have a different approach than I have and could calm that person down, and then we would regroup and start all over. Because it really does. It really escalates if you don't pull back and just take that break. That was my experience, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
we are having a couple of questions now, too, if you want to go on to some new ones.
yeah, go for it.
One, well, they want to first know how to access that activity list that you just mentioned. So we can mention that at the end. But somebody had a question about how do you encourage regular hygiene and shaving, you know, those types of activities when, you know, when your husband is not eager to do that. That's a good question.
So what I used to do is they have razors in the kids section that look like razors. The razors are out of it, but they're kind of painted on there. I would lather them up and I would shave one side and they would shave the other. And then vice versa. Or if they're not used to that, but they're used to the electric one, just hand it to them. Sometimes just handing it to them and turning it on for them, feeling that vibration that they're used to, it's just one of those things that they've done over the years that they're used to doing. Even if they're not doing it in the bathroom, is it okay for them to do it on the couch?
And with any activity, I think part of what someone told me once, we all pick up our toothbrush and we brush our teeth. We think that that is one step. It's not. It's multiple steps. And so really trying to focus on breaking that activity into those small steps helps as well, any activity that you're doing. Because they can't, like you say, putting something in the hand takes away that 1 or 2 steps that they would have had to engage. So that's really helpful. There's one other one here. It says, my 94-year-old mother can't see very well. She can, however, see things at a very far distance. It's hard to find things for her to do because of this. She also is not very mobile, so she spends a lot of time in her recliner and sleeping. It's breaking my heart that she really can't do much. Any suggestions? It's a great question.
Okay. So it is going to be hard to get her motivated again, to get her doing things. What are some stuff that she used to do? Is there any way that we can bring things to her? Puzzle pieces, big puzzle pieces, you know, the 6 pieces, and do it with her. Is there any way that we can have her roll up that ball of yarn? You know, that's keeping her mind engaged and thinking and her hands busy. Gosh, Nicole, do you have anything?
No, this is a challenging one. And I think I always like to take the perspective from an emotional response. So I'm sure it's really hard for to see that your mother cannot do these things. And you have this idea of what she used to do and what she had been capable of. And is she content with what she's doing? Is she okay if you turn on TV? Is she happy? Is she smiling? Really trying to see what makes her content. I think that's important in looking at how she reacts to things. I know our idea of what we want for somebody might be out of this world compared to what they're doing. But as long as they're involved in what they're doing and they're content with what they're doing, that's really what matters. So some of those suggestions that Naomi gave, try them out, see how they go, see what her emotional response is to that, and then adjust as needed.
And Naomi, just as you had mentioned, it's not focusing on what the person can't do, it's on what they can do. So, okay, she can't see up close, but she can see far. So one person had suggested, how about giving her binoculars so that she can look out the window and watch birds?
Yeah.
You know, something like that. Your suggestion on music, Naomi, she can still hear. Let's use music. She can still feel, so let's give her things to hold in her hand. Something that every person loves to do is popping the little bubbles on the plastic wrap. You know, things that we can still do. You know, look for the things that she is still tactile, can do, can still hear, those types of things. Because, you know, we all still want to participate. We all want to continue to have a purpose in our life. No matter where we are in our journey of life, it's still important for us to have a purpose. So finding something that gives that person purpose each day, I think, is something that we've heard a lot.
Speaking about those little poppers, if you want her to move her feet around a little bit, put it underneath her feet. See how many she can do on her feet. Get her feet moving, you know, or if you want her to stand up and do some stuff, let her do side to side, stand with her and do that. Nothing more satisfying than popping those things with your feet, because then you get a lot of pops at once.
I'm even envisioning the family being at a distance from her, maybe outside, and, you know, doing an activity with the family. Say, you know, there's Bob, wave Bob, you know, and just because they would be far away and she would be able to see them. And, you know, I'm envisioning that type of things. I think part of it is just trying to be as creative as you possibly can. We were having a little conversation before this, and spontaneity is so important to people, and I don't think we realize that. So set your plans, but also, as both Naomi and Nicole were talking, be ready to turn on a dime and do something different if you sense that that this isn't going to work for them the way you had planned. Just switch it up. And it doesn't have to work as planned. The coloring pages were a perfect example of that. They were all correct because it kept somebody engaged. They were happy doing it. And that's, you know, that is the beauty of the activities. It becomes very person-centered. Listen to that body language, you know, of theirs, you know, whether or not they're enjoying it. You will know. Even those who are nonverbal will let you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And as we've all said, there is no wrong when it comes to an activity.
Right. Right.
It's always right for that person, no matter how they do it. That's what's right for them.
Yeah.
And that's what's most important. And it's validating that.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Patty, thank you so very much for helping us out today. Naomi, Nicole, thank you so very much for your expertise. We really appreciate it. To answer the question of the person who wanted to find that list of activities that I showed, go to the Age of Central Texas website. It's ageofcentraltx.org. And up at the top, you just click the link that says activities to share at home. We'll also be sending you probably tomorrow, we'll send you the link to this session along with the handouts. We're going to send you the PDF of the PowerPoint that was presented today. So we will make sure that you have all of that information. And remember, we're here for you, no matter where you are in your journey. So if you start feeling overwhelmed, if you start running out of ideas, if you just need someone to talk to, give us a call, send us an email, contact us, because that's why we exist. You can contact Age of Central Texas, Area Agency on Aging, our partners at AARP. There are organizations all throughout this area that exist simply to help you. And always remember, it is never, ever, ever wrong to ask for help, because that's why we exist.
Yes.
That's why we're here, is to be of service to you. So we want to thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to send you all that promised information, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. We have one more session this afternoon. If you're joining us, we'll see you then. If not, have a great day and a wonderful weekend.
Bye-bye.